as you can see, we are chatting about willpower today, and how it's a lie. Let's see if we can get you off the willpower hamster wheel.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love when I meet people that hate willpower, the word willpower, as much as we do, because it's like BS, right? Because think about it. If you just needed willpower, you would already be doing it. Like, you would be doing it, right? Because we can will ourselves to do anything, men and women. Like, you know, we're strong. We can will ourselves to do stuff. So we want to talk about today, like, why you feel like, especially with sugar, why you feel like you cannot stop eating sugar. I did a talk today, and I'm like, if you're the kind of woman who's like, I eat great, I'm good all day, and then I just can't stop, like, later in the day, like, that's the kind of stuff. It's not about willpower. It's about a lot of things going on. So, in my challenge, we're going to talk about balancing blood sugar. So that's a huge one. Depending on what you eat, and if your blood sugar is balanced, you will crave less sugar. When it's out of whack and you're riding the sugar roller coaster, you're going to crave sugar. And people are like, well, how do I know that? If you're hungry, like 30 minutes later, even like an hour later, if you're like hangry, you got to look back at what you just ate. What have you been eating all day long? Like, usually the 3 o'clock crash, I'm like, ooh, what'd you have for breakfast? What'd you have for lunch? Did you have food? Right? You know, so many women are like, I just won't eat. Like, oh, no.
Yeah. And then they want to know why their sugar cravings are so bad. Why can't I resist those cookies or that cupcake?
Yeah.
Or the bag of chips?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that up, right? Things that break down into sugar. Yeah. Why can't I just stop? Well, you're not getting any of you're not getting nutrients, right? Blood sugar's all over the place, and gut health, right? I know Bobby's the expert in that, and I touch on it a little bit in the challenge. Like, if your gut is out of whack and it's not balanced bacteria, guess what? Bad bacteria like to eat sugar.
Yes.
So you're going to be craving sugar until you fix that. Like, so we don't know what, it could be all 3 of the things that we're talking about, or it could be one of them. But tuning in and figuring out what exactly you need. And that's huge. Instead of trying to do all the things all the time, or like what we talked about, like what my neighbor's doing because it works for her.
There's a reason there's so many best-selling diet books, programs, plans, and advice out there.
Yeah.
It's because those things work for groups of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what's going to work for you. And, you know, the best way to do that is to start listening to yourself and stop lying to yourself. We are really listening to ourselves. Our brains are amazing. They are. They're really good liars. And our conscious likes to be gullible and believe it. And it's a lie. Willpower. When you think about willpower, I used to tell my marathon and half marathoners this. Willpower is what you need to get from mile 10 to mile 12. Because once you hit mile 12, you're like, oh, I got a mile to go. I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, for that half marathon. Same thing with a marathon. By the time you hit, 20, 22 miles, willpower is going to get you to 26.2.
Yeah.
You don't need willpower with your diet and your nutrition. And even if you're somebody whose brain constantly spirals with food, thoughts about food, you're constantly focused on food, because there are those of you out there that are listening to us say this, and you're like, well, I mean, my problem is that I just can't stop thinking about food. You're still missing something.
Yeah. Yes.
There's some disconnect in that lock and key from your body that needs to line up a little bit better. What that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
We gotta explore. We gotta
figure that out. And then once we figure out like the physical piece, then you know that then those cravings are emotional. And then that's another piece that you can deal with. But that's good to know versus just beating yourself up. I'm not doing it right. I don't have enough willpower, blah, blah. Let's dig in and figure it out.
It is not about willpower. I said something last night in my journal that, like, we're scholars of our body. And I don't talk like that, but like, if you really think about it, that's what we are. We're students of our own body.
Yeah.
And, as women, we go through how many emotional changes and hormonal changes just in a 4-week period?
Yeah. Yeah. Never mind over life. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
we're constantly having to learn about ourselves, figure out what is going to work in this phase.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so funny because what works in my 40s like isn't what worked in my 20s and 30s. And for the longest time, I kept wanting to just go back to that. And I had to do that. I had to wrap my head around this is a different phase. So, like, I'm still learning too. Like, this is a different phase. Never been here before. Never been a single mom. Like, I have to figure all this out. So that is such a great point too. Like even then, like you can't go back to what worked 10 years ago because you're such a different person. So let's figure out like where you're at now and tune in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you feel like, well, no, I'm not, I'm the same person. The world around you isn't, especially
Mm,
after 2020. We're not the same.
yeah. Yeah.
The world that was there when I got pregnant and the world that was there when I had the boys, which was only 7 months, you guys, 7.5 months, it's completely different. So you may not feel like you're in a different place, but the world is.
Yeah.
Which means what worked for you 10 years ago is not going to work for you now.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lifelong discovery. It's a lifelong practice.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So don't beat yourself up if like me, you went back to what worked in your 30s and it was not working and then you're I'm broken or I just can't do that. No, I have way different needs. And so it's a lot about letting go of guilt and this idea like I'm a power through. Well, I'll just power through. Well, no. That's willpower. That's BS. That's not it. It's not the answer.
It's not. It's not. And all it does is throw you right into those sugar cravings full fold,
Yeah.
and part of the reason Carrie and I teamed up is because when we talk about gut health, we have to talk about sugar cravings.
Yeah.
They're intertwined. If you're really going to look at any of the cravings that you have, sugar is the number one craving that we all have. If your body
Mhm.
needs fuel at any given point in time, whether it's water or something else, it's going to send a sugar craving. And willpower will not get you past that sugar craving. Not eating because you're craving sugar doesn't make it better. It makes it.
Yeah. Yeah, the just don't eat sugar or just don't eat anything, that does not work. That's not what we talk about and teach. And in my challenge, I'm gonna talk about that. Like that's not the way. Because that's just willpower in a different form. No.
Exactly. Exactly. And having, taking a couple of steps to figure out why you're having those cravings, that's what you're going to learn in Carrie's challenge. And the best part, I love how she does this. And we're going to try this with my challenge later on in May. But you literally get an email, you get to watch the video whenever you want. You get your step by step for that day and then you move on to the next day. So you're learning as you go. And then you have an opportunity to sit down with her and chat about the things that you discovered. Because some of you are going to take that information, run with it, you're going to be golden.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You just need a couple of answers to a few questions, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of clarity. And willpower, that's not it. So learning and figuring out those steps that will work for you
Mhm.
is going to be crucial. And that first step is to step into something like what's coming up with Carrie's challenge.
So excited. I'm so excited. So yeah, it's about figuring out as I'm talking through this, like, oh, which piece? Oh, like that's me. Like that's what I need to work on. And it's tiny steps too, right? Because I'm also guilty of this, right? I want to do it all at one time. That doesn't work. And in my life right now, it's definitely not working because I'm a single mom. Like I have way too many things. I cannot add one more thing unless it's one thing that I'm really motivated to do and I know is going to work for me and then still take tiny little steps.
Yeah.
So don't think you need to do it all at once either.
No. And it's funny, like as we're transitioning, because the boys are graduating pre-K and there's so much that happens. Like, who the heck knew? Like we just had spring pictures and now we have to do teacher conferences
Yeah.
to register for kindergarten and make sure we know what they need. They have to learn how to get in and out of their own car seats, which I was actually really happy that they didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
I was thrilled. Um, and then like they have to, what's the other thing? There's like all these different
I know. I
events
know.
right now. So it feels a lot more stressful than it probably is. Especially
Yeah.
when you're in the one in charge and you've got these little creatures you have to take care of and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
You know, this is a very stressful time for a lot of people, not just because of pre-K graduation. It's a transition from one season to the next, and this
Yeah.
with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, learning your body, learning about sugar cravings, learning about what works and what doesn't work, and erasing willpower from your vocabulary.
Yeah.
That would be really, I personally would love that.
Yeah.
So, wipe it out.
Hmm.
Willpower's gone. You're going to
Yeah.
learn a different way. Because if willpower worked, you wouldn't still be listening to us.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
I think we've been chatting for what, maybe 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
this would not be your learning space.
Yeah.
So here we need to get rid of that word. And the number one way you can do that is by learning what your body is actually needing and what you're lacking.
Yeah, without judgment. This is just a learning process. I mean, we're so quick to judge in society, period, but judging ourselves so harshly. And that's the thing that kills me about willpower is like, I just can't do it. And I can't, I can't do it. I'm bad or I'm failing. Oh, no. You just have to, there's just a piece you're missing. Let's figure that out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not terrible. It's not horrible. It just is.
Just is.
And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yeah.
I saw a post earlier from my cousin about, you know, how she's asked for help and how hard it is for her. And truth be told, it's hard that's hard for me.
Me too.
I suck
Yeah.
at asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I have surrounded myself with people who are like, you need to stop being so freaking independent and stubborn.
Yeah.
Some of them cuss at me because they know I'll listen. The others just kind of look at me and give me a look. Like when Kim gives me a look, I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But that goes in reverse too, because she's just as guilty of trying to be little miss independent, right? And we can ask for help. It doesn't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we are not strong, capable women who are able to do hard things.
Yeah.
It just means we need some support and we know when to delegate. Someone told me that word. I was like, okay, I like delegate better than asking for help.
Better than asking for help. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, I could totally see that. Like it's called delegating. Yeah.
Delegating.
Oh,
I'm not asking for help. I'm delegating.
Yeah. 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 It's funny. So after my divorce, I was like, now I know what it takes a village really means. And I had to start asking for a little bit of help. And at first, like, I'm not going to lie, guys, it killed me. I was like, I should be able to do all this. And like through the divorce, my friends were like, you're the strongest person I know. You're the best person. And I was like, really? Cause like, I need like help. And then I just had to be like, I can be strong and I can get help. So yeah.
I would say like 2 years ago was kind of pinnacle for me where I hit a point where I was like, I need the village. We don't have enough of a village where we are currently. We are fixing that. But like, we don't have enough of a village and I need a village. My brain, I will end up in a psych ward.
Yeah.
I need the freaking village. I'm going to lose my morals. And, that's just living life, trying to mom twins, with a husband who works a shit ton of hours. And it's just, isn't that part of just day-to-day life?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. And there's not a lot that's going to change overnight.
Yeah. In anything.
Yeah. And when we're talking about willpower, you can't force your way through a situation. I mean, you probably could, but like you force your way through the situation, then you feel like crap, or you feel like crap and push your way through the situation. When in reality, you just need to take a step back.
Yeah.
Breathe. Do a little investigation. Do a little learning.
Yeah.
Put the two together, and then now you've got some answers.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to willpower your way through everything.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried it. It doesn't work. We've all tried it. It doesn't work. So.
And if you're listening, you tried it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're just like you.
Yeah. It didn't work for you either. So let's figure out what will. Because that's
Yeah.
really what we're saying here is, and ultimately, if you never step one foot into a challenge of ours, if you never step into the community, if you never do anything but watch these lives, we want you to walk away with something useful.
Mm-hmm.
So when we tell you you need to learn about your body, you need to learn about your body. You need to learn about your brain, how you work, how you operate, how you think, and
Yeah.
what you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you're experiencing sugar cravings, you're missing something.
Yeah. For sure.
First step, look at your protein. Second
Yeah.
step, keep looking because protein's not everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not everything. A lot of times with women, you can start with protein and it'll help you reveal other things
Yeah.
because it's never just one thing.
No, it's not. So that's the thing too. You start peeling back layers, but take a step. Tune in and take a step. So, and then if you need a village, we have a village. If you need more answers, like we have answers. So
Yeah.
reach out if
Ask
you
the
need.
question.
But yes, but very excited about the challenge starting on the 14th. Almost forgot what day. On the 14th. So yay. So we'll post the link and info about that, but reach out to us if you have questions. Happy to answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, we have talked your ear off enough. We will chat with y'all later and we'll see you next week. Ask your questions. You guys are really good at questions.
Yeah.
So ask away. All right. And we will see you next week. And I'll see you inside Carrie's challenge.